Hey everyone, we are the Group F, and for today's reporting we will be tackling about Sister Calista Roy, specifically her theory, Roy Adaptation Model. So first, who is Sister Calista Roy? Sister Calista Roy was born on October 14, 1939 in Los Angeles, California. At the age of 24, she received a bachelor's degree in nursing from St. Mary's College in Los Angeles and a master's degree in nursing from the University of California. As time goes by, she accomplished so many things, and it's very extensive to tackle, but one of the reasons why she's very famous is because of her theory, Roy Adaptation Model. Roy Adaptation Model was created because Sister Calista Roy was challenged by Dorothy E. Johnson to develop a conceptual model for nursing, and it was the time where Sister Calista Roy noticed the great resiliency of the children and their ability to adapt in response to major physical and psychological changes. This prompted her to begin developing her model with the goal of nursing being to promote adaptation. Now, what is Roy Adaptation Model? The Roy Adaptation Model sees the person as a biopsychosocial being in continuous interaction with a changing environment. The environment includes focal, contextual, and residual stimuli, which will be discussed by my other members. According to Roy Adaptation Model, the aim of nursing is to increase compliance and life expectancy. Roy Adaptation Model evaluates the patient in psychologic mode, self-concept mode, role function mode, and interdependence mode, aiming to provide holistic care, which will be discussed again by the other members of this group. And until now, her theory, Roy Adaptation Model, provides an effective framework for addressing the adaptive needs of individuals, families, and groups.
Theoretical resources. So Roy's adaptation model of nursing was derived from the Harry Helson's adaptation theory. Adaptive responses are a function of the incoming stimulus and the adaptive level. So Sister Calista Roy defines stimulus as any factor that provokes a responses. So stimuli may rise from the internal or external environment. So there are three classes of stimuli: the focal stimuli, contextual stimuli, and the residual stimuli. So what is focal stimuli? Focal stimuli defined as the immediately confront the person. For example, in a family, these include the family needs of the family. Prior example of family needs like food, clothing, and so on and so forth. So contextual stimuli. All other stimuli present that contribute to the effect of the focal stimuli. For example, in the focal stimuli, your parents lost their job. So in the contextual stimuli, these are the effect of how you respond to the situation. It could be positive or negative reaction. So next is residual stimuli. Environmental factors whose effect are unclear in a given situation. So your parents lost their jobs. So we don't know what will be the effect of your parents losing their job. It could be I can stop my study, or we will save food instead. So it's not clear. It depends on the situation.
Major concepts and definitions. System. System is a general set of parts to create wholeness that consists of inputs, outputs, control, and feedback process. Adaptation level consists of integrated, compensatory, and compromised. It is also stated that a person's adaptation level is constantly changing point, made up of focal, contextual, and residual stimuli. Adaptation problem. Broad areas of concern related to adaptation. At this point, adaptation problems are seen not as nursing diagnosis, but as areas of concern for the nurse related to adapting person or group.
Coping processes. Coping processes can either be innate or acquired coping mechanism. In Roy's adaptation model, these are the two subsystems, the regulator subsystem and the cognator subsystem. The regulator subsystem is the automatic response through neural, chemical, and endocrine system. It is a coping mechanism that happens naturally without human intervention. Next is the cognator subsystem. The cognator subsystem is unlike the regulator subsystem, requires human intervention and does not happen so naturally. Adaptive response, which is also known as the positive response, promotes integrity. And integrity is defined as the person's survival, growth, development, mastery, and environmental transformations. Next is the ineffective response. An effective response is the opposite of adaptive response, and it does not promote integrity. An effective response is also known as the negative response.
An integrated life process may change to a compensatory process which attempts to reestablish adaptation. If compensatory processes are not adequate, compromised process result. The physiological mood are associated with the physical answers of the person given to stimuli from the environment. It includes the physical and chemical processes within an individual's life and activities. A physical mood is a simplified material representation usually on a reduced scale of an object or phenomenon that needs to be investigated. In this mood, self-concept group identity mood, the goal of coping is to have a sense of unity, meaning the purposefulness in the universe, and a sense of identity integrity. This includes body image and self-ideas. The role function mood covers the individual's role in society for social integrity. The rules described herein are divided in three, which is the primary rules, the rule of gender, male and female, secondary rules, different rules of mother, father, teacher, and more, tertiary rules, president of an association. And these are the basic requirements for rule function mode is defined as social integrity. The interdependence mode is a behavior and mutual relations of individuals and groups are explained by interdependence in RAM. It includes relationships with others that are meaningful to the person and support systems. Perception is a framework from which hypotheses were derived and tested that are translated by the cognitor through perception that alters the biopsychosocial responses.
The use of empirical evidences. In the adaptation model, a nurse's job is to adjust the stimuli by eliminating, decreasing, increasing, or changing them for the betterment of the patient's recovery. Empirical evidences involves building the philosophical basis for the adaptation model and the nursing epistemology, as well as conceptualizing and measure coping. In the major assumptions, system theory here stated that in this subtopic, human adaptive systems are considered as a collection of interconnected species that work together to achieve a goal. And because of their ability to adapt to the environmental stimuli, humans have the ability to influence the environment as well. Roy also blended the humanism and veritivity as assumptions. In the scientific assumptions, thinking and emotions are the foundation of self-awareness, of gaining self-awareness, environmental awareness. Adaptation is a product, so adaptation becomes a product of human-environmental integration or connection. Philosophical assumptions stated that we humans use our creative skills such as consciousness, enlightenment, faith to engage with the world. So we go on to the adaptation. Adaptation, according to Roy, refers to the process and outcome whereby thinking and feeling persons as individual or in groups use conscious awareness and choice to create human environmental integration. So in this, we humans or individuals uses our conscious awareness and choice to creating an integration between us and the environment.
Roy's adaptation model, the major concepts and definitions. Nursing, defined as a healthcare profession that focuses on human life, processes, and patterns, and emphasizes promotion of health for individuals, families, groups, and society as a whole. Person, according to Roy, humans are holistic adaptive system. Health is a state and a process of being and becoming integrated and a whole person. It is reflection of adaptation, that is the interaction of the person and environment. Environment is all the conditions, circumstances, and influences surrounding, affecting the development and behavior of persons or groups. So in overall, Roy's goal of nursing is the promotion of adaptation for individuals and group in each of the 4 adaptive modes, thus contributing to health, quality of life, and dying with dignity. Theoretical assertions of Roy's model focuses on the concept of adaptation of person. Her concepts of nursing, person, health, and environment are all interrelated to this central concept. So, her model in person as an adaptive system consists of input, control processes, effector, and output. So, we are living in an open system where the person receives input or stimuli from both the environment and the self. Proceed to the control processes where coping mechanism happen. The regulator coping subsystem by the way of physiological adaptation mode, while the cognitor coping subsystem by the way of self-concept, role function, and interdependence. So the next is the effector, which consists of the 4 adaptive modes. And lastly, the output, where the adaptive and effective responses occurs. There is also a model called human adaptive system, where Roy broadly categorized the control processes into stabilizer and innovator subsystems. The stabilizer subsystems is analogous to regulator subsystems of the individual and is concerned with the stability. The innovator subsystem is associated with cognitor subsystem of the individual and is concerned with the creativity, change, and growth. In logical form, the Roy's adaptation model of nursing is composed of deductive and inductive. It is deductive in that much of Roy's theory is derived from Helson's psychophysics theory, and it is inductive in that she developed the 4 adaptive modes from research and nursing practice experiences of herself, her colleagues, and nursing students.
Acceptance by the nursing community of Sister Callista Roy. So, in 1976, Roy developed a theory known as the Roy Adaptation Model, which states that the goal of nursing theory is to promote patient adaptation. Her model asks questions about a person who is in the focus of nursing care, the target of that care, and when that care is indicated. So, her adaptation model of nursing is a prominent nursing theory. Nursing theory's frame explains or defines the practice of nursing. Roy's model sees the individual of a set of interrelated systems like biological, physiological, and social. The individual strives to maintain a balance between their systems and the outside world. But there is no absolute level of balance. Individual strives to live within a unique band in which he or she can cope adequately. After the development of her theory, Roy developed the model as a framework for nursing practice, research, and education. According to Roy's model, the goal of nursing is to promote adaptation of the patient during illness and health. Using this, Roy's 6-step nursing process assesses behaviors, assesses stimuli, diagnosis, set goals to promote adaptation, nursing interventions, and evaluation. Throughout 1970s and 1980s, Roy's model has been implemented as a basis for curriculum development in associate degree, diploma, baccalaureate, and higher degree programs in many countries.
The Roy Adaptation Model in education is used to provide educators a systematic way of teaching students to assess and care patients, as well as help students to understand the theory and to develop it as they learn about testing theories and experience pure understanding. The Roy Adaptation Model is also applied in research, which affects practitioners' behaviors. It must be directed toward testing and retesting the theories derived from conceptual models for nursing practice. Roy in 1984 stated that the theory development and the testing of developed theories are the highest priorities for nursing. The Roy Adaptation Model has been used to guide knowledge through nursing research and create a specific hypothesis that can be developed and tested.
Development of adaptation research instrument. The Roy adaptation model has been used to construct a number of research instruments. Newman developed the inventory of functional status caregiver of a child in a body cast in order to determine how long parental caregivers will be able to continue working while caring for a child in a body cast. Modersin, McCarthy, McNew, and Walker developed a clinical tool based on the Roy adaptation model to assess actual and potential stressor of premature infants and to implement care for them. Development of middle-range theories of adaptation. According to Silva, using a conceptual framework to structure a research study is not a theory testing. There are many researchers who utilize Roy's model but did not test the hypothesis of her model. John reports the use of theoretical subtraction to derive a middle-range theory adaptation for chronic pain from the Roy adaptation model. The impacts of chronic pain on functional ability, as well as psychological and spiritual well-being, are manifestation of adaptation.
Roy adaptation model is an approach to nursing that has made and continues to make a significant contribution in the body of nursing knowledge. Scientists who do research from the perspective of the Roy adaptation model continue to note overlap in the psychosocial categories of self-concept, role function, and interdependence. Roy recently has redefined health, de-emphasizing the concept of health illness, continuum, and conceptualizing health as integration and wholeness of a person, the person, environment, nursing, and health. And also, Roy clearly defines the four adaptive modes: the physiological, self-concept, interdependence, and role function.
Simplicity. We have Roy adaptation model nursing, person health, illness, environments adaptation, and nursing actions are all part of the Roy model. There are two subconcepts, regular and cognate, as well as four modes: physiological, self-concepts, role function, and interdependence. The relational assertions are complicated until the model is a master, since it contains multiple primary idea and subconcepts. Generality. The broad scope of Roy's model is an advantage because it may be used for theory building and for deriving middle range theories for testing in students of small regions of phenomena. Accessibility. Roy broad concepts stem from theory in physiological psychology, sociology, and nursing. And Roy's model offers direction for researchers who want to incorporate physiological phenomena, and their students. And Roy also studied and analyzed 500 samples of patient behavior collected by nursing students. She also proposed her four adaptive modes in human, which is physiology, needs, self-concepts, one function, and interdependence. So, explanation of four adaptive modes. These propositions have received varying degrees of support from general theory and empirical data. Roy adaptation modes is for researchers to develop middle range theory designed to measure concepts proposed in the derived theory. She has explicated significant number of propositions, theorems, and axioms to serve in the development of middle range theory. Importance. We have the Roy adaptation model has a clearly defined nursing process and is useful in guiding clinical practice.